Ruben Amorim was sacked! And yes, Manchester United are left high and dry once again. Even though Michael Carrick has been appointed, it feels like the cycle is just repeating. With this, their hopes of successful turnaround are dangling by a thin thread. United signed Amorim, hoping to bring stability and depth to the squad. But like always, everything else at United was United, except for the board and the manager. While United's bosses believed the squad was well-equipped to chase European ambitions, Amorim stood his ground with his own strategies and long-term plans. And as expected, he could only do it for a brief time, as the board fell short on the promise of alignment with his long-term objectives. Moreover, tried their level best to meddle in matters that do not even concern them. What followed tore apart United's morale. Or maybe not, because an orphaned club with no manager has slowly become the new norm at Manchester United. Now fans, players, and the board stand on edge, fingers crossed, just hoping to somehow crawl through the remainder of the season and miraculously finish in the top 6. Welcome to Just Talk Footy, and here's a deep dive into the entire Ruben Amorim fiasco and the likely outcomes that follow. Ruben Amorim arrived at Manchester United like a ray of hope in a dark tunnel. A young and dynamic coach, brought in to revive a once great club, now desperate to find a system and direction. This felt like a move headed toward redemption, not just appointing a capable mentor, but chasing a revolution. Because this was the first significant decision in the INEOS era. Amorim was known for his rigidity and the revolutions that followed it. He refused to abandon his 3-5 at the back system for the standard 4 at the back that modern football demands. And that rigidity cost him his career at Man United. However, despite all the hurdles, he managed to improve their position from 15th to 6th, competing for European qualification. This shows there was potential in his system to trigger the great turnaround, or at least it seemed like it. But now, that is something we will never find out. Because at United, disagreement gets you shown the door. For United, glory felt like a dream they had woken up from. Their last truly successful era belonged to Sir Alex Ferguson. Signs of circus operations were evident in the twilight years of SAF. Post-SAF, it only worsened. Constant sackings, interim managers, and fresh appointments followed, each with different philosophies and visions. Promising on paper, but nothing ever clicked. Jose Mourinho seemed to have clicked, even guiding them towards the road to victory in 2017 Europa Cup, and moreover, finished second in the subsequent season. But even he had a falling out with the board, and he claimed that finishing second with Manchester United has been the biggest achievement of his career.
If I tell you, for example, that I consider one of the best jobs of my career to finish second with Manchester United in the Premier League, you say this guy is crazy.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer brought emotion and nostalgia, but lacked tactical authority. Then came Ralf Rangnick, who during his final days openly said that the club condition is so bad.
Amendments, some little issues here and there, some minor cosmetic things. No, this is, in medicine you would see, this is an operation at the open heart.
After that, Erik ten Hag arrived, proven during his time at Ajax, only to be dragged down by chaos, politics, and constant interference. Games were lost. Players looked demotivated. Fans were exhausted. Everyone waited for a revolution that would finally put a full stop to this misery. And just then, Amorim's name surfaced. His work at Sporting CP spoke for itself, where structure and system were second nature. That is exactly what United believed they were buying. Amorim arrived at Old Trafford having been promised resources, finances, and most importantly, time. But beneath the optimism lay a stark contrast. Amorim got the job by speaking about new ideas and careful implementation. The board believed the squad was already good enough. While Amorim prioritized long-term objectives, United's hierarchy wanted instant results. He wanted to be the manager of Manchester United and not the head coach. But there can be only one boss.
The early days seemed to offer some hope. Amorim began his work at the foundational level. He reshuffled roles, demanded discipline, and pushed for full commitment from his players. Performances were inconsistent, but there was belief that things would improve with time. But inside Manchester United's boardroom, patience is non-existent. And for Amorim, autonomy was non-existent. And just like clockwork, familiar cracks began to appear. And they did. The team dropped points regularly and suffered multiple humiliating defeats. Confidence dipped to new lows, and the media preyed on every Red Devil misstep. Amorim demanded funds and players, but the board demanded instant and almost miraculous progress before committing to any new advancements. What was sold to Amorim as a long-term revival project soon revealed itself as a short-term gig with a clear expiry date. The signings that Amorim got in were lopsiding the team towards only the attack, and midfielders were non-existent, either aging or playing out of position. Then came what felt inevitable, a series of lackluster performances. While Amorim was stubborn about his system, there was a lot of interference from the board in footballing decisions regarding his formation and system. A heated argument with Jason Wilcox, growing concerns around the January transfer window, and Amorim's increasingly emotional press conferences, all of it snowballed. Eventually, the plug was pulled. Ruben Amorim was sacked, and just like that, Manchester United were back at ground zero. Another chapter closed halfway, another rebuild abandoned. The spotlight had finally shifted now, and it was now firmly on the club's incapable board, which has not changed despite new ownership. History repeats itself, but it also teaches valuable lessons. And the lesson Manchester United seems to have learned here is simple. Changing the manager does not revive a club, because the real enemy is not on the touchline, but sitting comfortably in the VIP booth. For years now, Manchester United have operated like a ship sailing without a compass. And when these trials and errors lead to negative outcomes, managers are scapegoated, as accountability rarely travels to the highest levels of management. The Glazer family, who took over in 2005, witnessed glory days early on before everything eventually went downhill. The takeover by Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS was supposed to mark a revival from years of chaos and uncertainty, but instead of a turning point, it felt like a continuation of the same old patterns. Patchwork solutions with no permanent fix. Ratcliffe arrived seemingly as a messiah, promised football-first decisions with priority on long-term stability and structure, but it took no time to notice old patterns emerging. Just like under the Glazers, transfer decisions are burdened with micromanagement and procrastination, losing out on top players like Haaland, Rice, Bellingham. Power stays concentrated in the boardroom, handling managers like puppets. Long-term projects collapsing even before starting. For supporters who believed in Ratcliffe and the INEOS project, felt betrayed, and their frustration was evident. INEOS promised a hard reset, starting with Omar Barada's appointment as CEO in July 2024, who had served Manchester City across several crucial projects. This was followed by the arrival of Jason Wilcox, Southampton's football director, in a move pushed forward by Jim Ratcliffe himself. Sounds good, right? Yes, it does. But this would soon turn out to be a big blunder, as Ratcliffe pushed for Wilcox's appointment only after having had just 9 months' experience as a sporting director. Moreover, Omar Barada was directly handed the CEO position after a brief tenure as technical director. All this when he was just the chief of footballing operations at Manchester City. 2 holes in the system that are bound to sink United's ship. Amorim's rigid system was always vulnerable in modern football. A tactic so risky that it even made Liverpool walk away from signing Amorim. But United ignored every possible red flag, and moreover, rushed the process, despite severe opposition from Dan Ashworth, who rightfully had predicted that Amorim would not click at United, as his and the club's objectives would never align. And to top it all off, one of the few people who actually seemed to care about the club, Dan Ashworth, was shown the door, reinforcing the feeling that there is no room for disagreement at Manchester United. Dan Ashworth was fired for apparently not wanting Amorim, basically not being a yes man to Ratcliffe. Appoint, sleep, sack, repeat. Until this changes, nothing else will. Ruben Amorim is gone, but the problem still remains. You can appoint several new Amorims, each painted as the one, riding the high horse of rebuilds and revolutions. But unless the foundational structures are fixed, and business is kept away from footballing decisions, it will always be different means, but the same ends. Because history doesn't repeat itself by accident. It repeats itself when lessons are ignored. So the real question is, what steps will Manchester United take to fix this? A true revolution awaits, or just another scapegoat in the making?